AA, see you in church. Hi, I'm Manuel. Um, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, leave a message, and ideas of topics you think I should talk about, and put the hand up to let me know you came and you enjoyed my conversation, especially because it's story time, story time. Um, this is a story that I heard when I would sit with my neighbors and my mom. When I was little, I would sit and I would just listen, and people would talk, or once in a while, I would get to go sit with the older men. And I did that one time. There was a group of the friends got together, and the men were there drinking, and they were drunk by this time. And this one guy comes over and he joins us, and they start talking and big, oh, blah, 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 I caught a fish, and all that kind of stuff. And one of the guys, the new guy in the group, says, I caught a fish too. He says, and oh, I was so proud. He goes, I was going to put it up on a plank and everything and have it there. And to me, it's interesting because, you see those like that, and if it was real, I'm like, how doesn't it get rotten and doesn't stink? I always wondered that. Anyway, they were talking, and the new guy, he starts telling his story. He says, he went with his friends, and it was a location where they had good hunting and good fishing, and his friends came for both. Well, now that I'm older, you usually have to have a license to do one or the other, you know? To do one or the other, you have to have a license. But I don't know about then. Maybe they did. I don't know. You'd have to be able to tell me that because I don't know. Anyway, so he was telling us they went out in their truck, and one of them had a nice mobile home kind of thing put on the back of the truck where you could just stay there and everything. Anyway, they all sort of had their own. And he just had a truck. And he said that. I just had a truck. And he goes, but I love being out in the open. And he would have his back of his truck turned into a bed. And he would have blankets and everything. And he'd have his sleeping bag and all that. And he would have his beer or whatever around him. And he could get it and all that kind of stuff. So he talked about that. And everybody was like, yeah, that's the life. Anyway, he says, well, I was out there. And the only reason is there's a video I'm showing, and this reminded me of this story. He says, I was out hunting with the friends, and we got a deer. And the way they do it is, since they're about 10 guys, they chop up the deer, and each person got a little bit of the venison and would have that, and they would bring it home. And I was guessing that they made venison tamales because everybody was Hispanic, and most people baked tamales. We didn't, but most people did. And they were talking all macho and all this kind of stuff. And then he talked about that he went fishing. And he was over there, and the people were always saying, oh, I got the biggest fish and everything. So he says, I'm going to catch me a big fish. He says, I can get home. We cook up the fish. We eat while the venison is getting ready to be cooked later. Because I guess you have to cure it. I don't know. We never really had venison that I know of. We've had fish, but not venison. And all they did was gut it, and they take off the skin and made nice little steaks or whatever, and they bread them and then fry, and everybody ate. That's not, it doesn't take long. But anyway, that's beside the point. So there he is. He's catching, he caught some really nice fish, and he was like, I'm catching fish, and everybody was like, oh, you dog, but they were all going to have fish now, everybody, because everybody else was fishing too, and they were getting nothing, and he kept catching. He said he had a fish for everybody to take. They were nice fishes, and he says they were right, and he says, but he didn't understand why none of them were catching, just him. So he's caught quite a few, and it was time for everybody to go home. So everybody had been taking their fish as he caught it, and they pulled out. They were going to cut the meat and everything and send it out. So he was all excited, him and his wife would have some nice venison, which I've never had. Some people say it's gamey. But anyway, and they're going to have a fish, a nice big fish. So he's there practically by himself. There were just two of them. He says, and we were still fishing, and I caught 3 more fish, and his friend caught nothing. So he was like, I'm going to catch much more, and I'll take home 1 fish, and he'll take 1 fish, he said. So he was like, oh, we were having such a good time drinking beer and fishing, and all of a sudden they heard something. They turned around, and it was a gigantic bear. Not that kind of bear. But it was a bear. And he said that bear came, and he stood up and was screaming. He goes, I didn't know what to do. I had another fish on the end of my line, and I wasn't going to let it go. So he started reeling the fish in as quick as he could. His friend was like, ah, and his friend didn't run away. I told him a couple of times, run away. The friend didn't run. He was just, ah. So he took the fish off, put it in whatever they were using to put the fish in. He said, I hooked my fishing hook to the rod. The bear swinged at him, and he says, and I hit him in his ass with the fishing rod. And I started to laugh because in the video they're boxing, and he hits him in the balls and everything. It's just hilarious. And like the bear takes the fish. I'm not too sure, but in his case, he wasn't thinking about, oh, the bear's here for the fish. He was just thinking, I gotta fight for my life. So he used the fishing rod as a whip, and he whipped the bear. He whipped the bear. He whipped the bear. And it was just so funny, he said, that the bear was like, ooh, like, you're spanking me. And the bear was like, go like this. And then he says, I hit him in the butt. And I whipped him really hard. So then his friend rolled his back and hooked his the way he did. And he said, and when he swung at me, I whipped the bear, and he whipped the bear too. So then the bear was getting double whipped, and it hurt. You could hear it go, whew, whew, he was saying, and it hit hard. You could see the bear felt that. And he said it took about 30 spanks before he knew what to get. And the bear took off. And they were both alive. They were like so shocked. They were like, we're alive, we're alive. And he says, I put 2 of the fishes into his friend's carrying case, and he took them, and I got in mine. I took off. He says, I wasn't gonna fish anymore. We were supposed to, but we're like, oh no, we just made it through. That's it. He says, but he says he never thought he would spank a bear. But anyway, what do you think? Do you think, I don't know if that would be true, but he said that story was true, and it looked like he was all, into his own story and everything, that it was reality. But to me, if it's true, it's great. I don't know. At least they're alive. But anyway, what do you think? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Leave a message. Give me some topic you'd like me to talk to you about usually. And don't forget to put the hand up, because I always do. So I do it at the beginning. But AA, see you in church.